So I am going to call this meeting to order, the July 17th, 2024 special meeting. And at this time, it is 4 o'clock. And Trustee Reyes, will you lead us?
4:30.
Oh, 4:30, thank you.
Nobody caught it.
Nobody caught it, I know, thank you. That's why you're responsible for the Pledge of Allegiance. Yes.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we are on to item number 2, which is public comments on agenda and non-agenda items. Pursuant to Board Policy 2350, any person may speak to the Board of Trustees either on an agenda item or on other matters of interest to the public that are within the subject matter jurisdiction board and before any board on the same or substantially similar subject, unless a majority of the board votes to extend the time limit. As a matter of policy, members of the board may not discuss or respond to matters raised during public comment unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion or action in open session. If you have questions about access or if you require accommodation to participate in the public meeting, please contact the Chancellor's office at 909-388-6903 as far in advance of the board. We have a couple of, we have 2 public comments. So with that, we will start with Griselda Montoya.
To advocate for Fatima Cristerna Sanchez as the most qualified candidate for the trustee position in Area 5. Fatima's journey is truly that of a student's hero, and her qualifications make her the ideal choice for this crucial role. Fatima's journey began at San Bernardino Valley College, where she laid the foundation for her academic and personal growth. As a student, just like many of us, she understands the challenges and the triumphs that come with pursuing higher education. This experience has shaped her into a strong advocate for all students, ensuring that everyone has access to the resources and support they need to succeed. One of Fatima's most admirable qualities is her unwavering commitment to diversity, equity, and her integrity. She recognizes the importance of creating an inclusive environment where every voice is heard and valued. Her dedication to these principles ensures that all members of the community feel represented and supported. Fatima's journey is one that resonates with many of us. She has faced obstacles and worked tirelessly to overcome them, embodying the spirit of perseverance and determination. Her relatability, but a trusted ally who truly understands the needs and concerns of the community. In conclusion, Fatima Cristerna Sanchez is more than just a candidate. She is a beacon of hope and progress for the San Bernardino Community College District. Her experience, her values, and dedication make her a perfect choice for the trustee Area 5. I urge you to consider her qualifications and vision as you make this important decision. And I would also like to add that I am here speaking as a former San Bernardino Valley College student. And Fatima is a strong advocate. She's always uplifting her community. She's always uplifting students that are in any stage of her higher education career. And please understand that one of the issues that all colleges face across the nation is the retention of keeping Black men and brown men in college. Not just getting them there, but retaining them in college, specifically higher education and post-secondary, doctorate degrees. This is a stepping stone where this could happen, and she is a person to uplift all people. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Ernest Guillen.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for providing the time and space to speak with you in support of the idea of allowing the candidates who are petitioning to fill our vacant Board of Trustees position to go through the process of public election. The idea proposed by Trustee Williams at the last board meeting to allow the electoral process to play out, thus providing each of these outstanding and qualified candidates a chance to compete and advocate for their standing with each other in a public crucible where the merits of their leadership and their qualifications can be weighed by their constituency groups for potential placement on this governing board. Preserving the public's agency to make the decision on who represents them on this dais themselves and is essential to building the public's confidence and buy-in on how we do business. Policy allows you to appoint someone to this vacancy. Also represent the bare minimum of what we should be doing. It's my hope, and in my experience, if I've learned anything, that equity and fairness and transparency is a constant recommitment to centering those voices who are often unheard as some of the people that the potential person filling this vacancy will fill. So it's my hope that we allow that electoral process to go forward and that we recommit ourselves and the community to fair and equitable practices. So thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to submit a card and we'll announce you?
Where's the card? Oh, okay. Cool. Sorry about that. Cool.
Okay, next up is Karina Camacho.
Yes. Okay. Hi. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to give public comment. My name is Karina Camacho. I'm a resident of Area 5, and I'm here just to really echo the statements that were said by Trustee Reyes on the candidates. I do believe that Mr. Aguilera is well-equipped to take the trustee position. I don't want to repeat what he said, but really about the financial benefits that we need the type of support here locally. I personally have lived in the region or in the area. I was growing up when San Bernardino City declared bankruptcy. So finances are something that I really understand and value, to see your city really struggle, and how do we bring resources to the region. I had the pleasure of connecting with Mr. Aguilera recently this weekend at the first Chicano Latino Youth Leadership Project. We both sat on a career panel and were able to talk about our journeys here in the region and motivate the youth to go to college, all the challenges that many first-generation Latino youth experience and desire to do something better for their families. And I was able to see Mr. Aguilera's dedication to that, as well as he spoke about his mentorship to youth, especially those who are undecided and undeclared, trying to figure out their path on what to do next. Again, a lot of things that many first-generation students experience, and I was able to see that. And I just wanted to also mention that I really value the way that the SBCCD on the agenda lists out the goals of the district, and I really think that Mr. Aguilera can speak to all of these: student access and success. I think we saw that in the way that he speaks about the ideas of how do we bring opportunities to the district on. Ultimately, that's a success, right? Everyone wants to walk out with some type of education that leads to a job, that leads to economic mobility, and I think he spoke to that very clearly in what he was saying. Next point was to be a diverse, equitable, inclusive, anti-racist institution. Mr. Aguilera mentioned he is a doctoral student at Howard University. I think as the child of immigrants, of Mexican immigrants, I see that he is attending at HBCU. That also speaks to someone who is dedication to learn from a space, to learn from other movements and from other communities, and his dedication to that. He also mentioned various statistics that talked about disadvantaged community and shows the power of data and how we tell our narrative in this community. And then the third goal is to be a leader and partner in addressing regional issues. He's someone that mentioned that he grew up around Yucaipa, someone off the mountain, but then now lives in the mountain. So there's some regional perspective to understand this region as a whole, as well as he mentioned working statewide on issues, understand how do you look at our region on a statewide level, but also how do you look at our region inside out. So kind of those dual perspectives, I think, bring a lot of value. And last, to ensure fiscal accountability and sustainability, he worked at the Department of Finance under the governor. If there's anyone else who's gonna understand how to get money, it's gonna be him. And I think I'll leave it at that, but thank you for the opportunity, and thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our public comment. Is any clarification? So I'll toss it over to Executive Vice Chancellor.
No clarifications.
Okay. So with that, we are on to our action item, and we have one special meeting action item, which is the provisional appointment to fill the vacancy in Trustee Area 5. So at this time, Executive Vice Chancellor Torres will introduce the item for us. Tee us up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And before I start, a couple kudos and a couple shout outs. First of all, happy birthday. Make sure we all behave and we don't get in trouble. So shout out to them, to her as well. To introduce this item, on May 23rd, 2024, the Board of Trustees voted and accepted the resignation of Trustee Gloria Macias Harrison, effective June 30th, 2024, and to fill the vacancy by provisional appointment. That's kind of what we're doing today. During the last board meeting on July 11th, the decision to make this provision was postponed until today. This special meeting was announced at the end of the meeting. So there were also a couple questions that the board needed clarification on, and that's what we asked Attorney David Robinette to come in and answer those two questions. And the questions, to remind you and the public, were what is the deadline to make a provisional appointment? And also, what happens if a provisional appointment is not made? So I'm going to ask our Attorney David Robinette to answer those questions.
Okay, thank you. And I'll just go over the basics, and then if anyone has any questions, just let me know. But first off, the deadline for the board to either make a provisional appointment or order an election, which for reasons I'll discuss would be the regular election coming up this November, is July 28th, 2024. That's 60 days from the date that the trustees' deferred resignation was filed with the county superintendent of schools. If the board fails to make a provisional order an election within 60 days, schools, normally when the vacancy decision is transferred to the county superintendent of schools, they're required to order an election to fill the vacancy. However, if the seat is coming up for its regularly scheduled election before the next election for the seat can be scheduled per the Ed Code timelines, then it simply rolls into the scheduled upcoming election. So the result of failing to reach a provisional appointment today, July 28th, would be that the matter would transfer over to the county superintendent of schools' responsibility, and they'll just roll it into the November general. The seat will remain vacant until then.
All right, thank you for that. Yes, Trustee Longville.
Do I correctly understand that during normal elections for members of the Board of Trustees, which being filled in at the same election, that the cost is allocated by the Registrar of Voters Office in proportion to the amount of space taken up by that portion of the ballot. And so those of our members who are up for re-election in November of this year normally will cost us a certain amount of money that the district will have to pay to the county. Would also be treated the same way. And even if we filled it, though, it would be a provisional appointment, so we would still have to pay that money to fill it again in November. I have that correct?
Yes, either way, it's just going to be the typical cost for the regular election.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Trustee.
And I know the answer to this, but I want to make sure that it's clear for everyone. When you say it's turned over to the county superintendent of schools, you don't mean that it's turned over to them and they can appoint someone. You mean specifically about whether or not there's an election.
Correctly, per ed code, the responsibility does get turned over to them, but then they're only empowered to either order an election if the timing works out that way, or if the timing works out the way it will here, just roll it into the November general.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Any other questions from our trustees? Okay. So with that, I'm looking for a motion on our action item. To remind everyone, the action item on the agenda is provisional appointment to fill vacancy in trustee area 5.
I'd like to move that we push the appointment to the November 5th election.
I'll second that motion.
Question with regard to what's on our agenda and the motion made.
Yeah, I think what would be most consistent with the agenda. I think what would be most consistent with the agenda would be to make a motion regarding the candidates, however form you do that, and either select one or don't select one. And if you don't select one, that has the same effect as just rolling it into the election.
So you want me to revise the motion then?
Yeah, the motion should be revised to relate to selecting or not selecting a provisional appointee.
Say that again?
Selecting, yes.
So pick a person. So I would move that we select Ms. Fatima Sanchez.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second for the purpose.
By trustee Williams, we have a second. By trustee Gonzalez, discussion.
I'll state what I have stated before. If we look at this very carefully, the comments, the recommendations, the experience that are clearly to be a good board of trustee are clearly in Mr. Aguilera's. I've worked with Fatima as well. The experience that is necessary for a board member to take, all you need to do is look at every item, every point that is being done, working with the governor's office, and understanding the budget. There's no comparison, in my opinion. There's absolutely no comparison. Okay. Now, another thing that attracted me about Mr. Aguilera is that we're a Hispanic serving institution, and we're trying to get relationships with the historically black colleges. I've never met anybody from this area that has a relationship opportunity for HBCUs. This would be a golden opportunity. When I go to Washington, D.C., I've gone to Howard University, and to get in there and to have a discussion is very difficult. If we work together, this would really be a golden opportunity for us to really expand. As all of you know, there's executive orders for Hispanic serving institutions, there's executive orders for HBCUs. This will be a golden opportunity for us. So I'm looking beyond working with the students. Have an opportunity to have a good working relationship with the students and with our communities and so forth. But really understanding the process, the policies, how it really works, the budget, absolutely no comparison. And we really need to get someone who's going to be taking us to the next level and helping us out. We have expertise in certain areas. You have certain expertise. You have certain expertise. This young man brings those opportunities that the other candidate does not.
Trustee Williams?
I agree with a lot of what Trustee Reyes had to say. My objective was to give all of the candidates a fair shot at running in November, but the direction today was I had to move a person forward. And during the interview, I agree that Mr. Carlos Aguilera is, qualified. I didn't feel the passion in he read his statements more, so I didn't get a chance to really feel, the passion. And in Ms. Sanchez's spoke to the specific issues that we're currently dealing with in the district. And when you think about who the average community college student is a Latina woman. I believe, I can't remember the age range, but in just hearing the story that she presents when she speaks to students on campuses about her transition, the resiliency, and the struggle that she went through in order to grow into the space that she's in now. I don't think there's any question about her qualifications and the work that she's did with the Charter School Association, understanding statewide initiatives, policies, and having to go through the process of getting schools approved through whether it be the county or the statewide. I think she understands those. I just felt her passion and connection, and the same thing when we went through the process with Dr. Betters is who would motivate and inspire students to come back to campus. And so if we're not gonna go to an election, then, I would support Ms. Sanchez.
I have some more comments. Let John.
Can we go to trustee Longbill?
Yes, we are fortunate enough to have had multiple very qualified applicants, which has not been the case every time that we've had to fill a vacancy. I know it seems like it was some years back, we like that once. But in any event, there are multiple candidates who I believe would do a very good job and with whom I would be happy to serve as a colleague. But I share the basic idea that Trustee Williams expressed with regard to allowing the voters to make their choice. Without any negative feelings for the candidate named in the motion, I will vote against the motion because I will vote against filling the position.
Thank you. Trustee Reyes?
Furthermore, I'm really concerned with individuals that are going to be working with us if they come from a background of charter school. Because that is more for, individuals that can afford to get money from the public opportunities. So I'm really concerned with that. I'm also very concerned with the fact that when I've had opportunities to go to Sacramento and Washington, primarily Sacramento, we need to have someone enthusiastic about things, about students, about programs. And I compliment Ms. Fantina, she has that. But we need to have someone who really understands policy, because you cannot be successful at the level that we're dealing with. I'm still learning myself. But I know that when I go there, I can motivate. I feel that if I get 1,000 students and parents in an auditorium to talk about the community college, I know that I can encourage them to come here because of the, the cost and so forth, the motivation. But the question is, we're going to have to be able to do things beyond that, understanding the policy. And again, if we look at the experience that Mr. Aguilera has, nothing against Ms. Fantina, because I think that she would be a good candidate later on, in my opinion, okay? Just like I was when I first ran. But I think, and Mr. Aguilera, we have an individual that already has experience, and he has to learn how the process works, just like I would learn how the process worked if I was working at a K through 12. I would depend on people like, but at the community college or the higher education, I have enough experience to be able to say who would be a good candidate with the overall understanding. We can have a cheerleader in terms of enthusiastic and so forth of any, I'm not just talking about this particular person. They don't understand of policy. legislative that is involved in being successful.
Okay, thank you. Any other? Trustee Gonzalez?
And this is just a process kind of thing, but I mean, the election's going to happen one way or another, whether we make an appointment or not. And I really don't think with less than 4 months that there's going to be a particular use to fill the seat and make our board whole now. That however many candidates, and we may get more people filed to run for that seat than we have had applied fill the vacancy. And that's how the process works. But that process will still happen. And the people of San Bernardino and the mountains will still have the opportunity to make their choice, just as all of us who were elected have experienced in November. So I actually see it as a disadvantage not to have a board that has all 7 members participating. When you go down to even numbers, you look at potential challenges. And I think it is to our benefit to have 7 and not 6, even if it's an appointment for only 3.5 months.
Thank you. Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, so we will call. This time we have a motion and a second to fill the provisional appointment with Fatima. And with that, we're going to start with our trustee advisory vote, which looks like it's in, and then the rest of us will now vote. It appears that the motion does not pass. Right, okay, so it appears the motion does not pass. So at this time, we can entertain a new motion.
I like to make a motion.
Okay.
I like to make a motion that we appoint Mr. Aguilera.
We have a motion for Mr. Aguilera. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Discussion.
Well, it's hard to follow up on all the different things that have been said so far, but one of the things that we mentioned briefly last month is we have not, in recent memory, had any representation on this board from the mountain communities, of someone who actually lives in mountain communities. So I think that actually could be an advantage for our district to have that perspective.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Madam Chair, I would just note that I don't see it as being a significant problem, actually, for a few months to have only 6 board members. I don't think we have that many highly divisive votes, and I think it's not going to be a problem.
Okay. Yes, Trustee Williams.
So you're still making the case that there's a benefit to leave it open for folks to run?
You know,
Trustee Reyes?
I think we were going to be very heavily criticized. It's going to cost us, how much is it going to cost us, Mr. Torres?
It's not.
So based on the response from the attorney, the election will go automatically to the November election.
Yeah.
So there won't be an additional cost.
I still think that, I disagree with my colleague Longbill. I think that we're making a, this is what has happened in terms of when we make big decisions, we have to hold on to that. If it doesn't make a lot of difference, why not make the appointment and let them run in November? And I guarantee you that whoever, if we recommend this young man, he's going to win it. He's going to win it. And the reason why I'm saying that is because he's very involved with the other things. We're going to see how he has been able to work in all areas. He worked with the governor's office. He's worked in Washington, D.C. He's a Howard University professor. He's very involved with our community. I don't understand why would there be a delay. I'm completely shocked.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none. We have a motion and a second for Carlos Aguilera. At this time, we'll call for the vote for our student trustee advisory. And the rest of us are now to vote. Okay, it appears that the motion does not pass. At this time, we can entertain a motion for another candidate.
Madam
Just
Chair.
point, if, well, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Go ahead.
If, in light of having had two motions already presented before us, I would ask our council, it just strikes me as highly reasonable, which unfortunately does not necessarily overlap with legal, that there should be an ability now for us to make a motion to hold the vacancy open or to postpone action or some other way of disposing with this other than simply going through and moving for every single applicant who has applied until we've gone through them all.
I think this is largely a matter of parliamentary procedure. You have, an agendized action, and so, one way to do it would just be to go through each candidate and lodge your vote. If the board wants an alternative method, if nobody makes a motion, then the matter also fails just for lack of motion. So that's another way to kind of get to the end point.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much.
So with that, do we have another motion?
Well, I think I know the answer.
Okay. I am not hearing another motion.
I move adjournment.
With that, we have a motion to adjourn. I have to say the words, the motion failed? Oh, I have to say the words, the motion failed? The motion, there is no motion to fail. The action item. There's no action taken, so there has been no action. Agendized item. With that, we do have a motion to adjourn. Without objection, this meeting is adjourned, and the next meeting of the Board of the Trustees Board Business Meeting is August the 8th, 2024 at 4 p.m. in the San Bernardino Community College Boardroom at 550 East Hospitality Lane, Suite 200, San Bernardino, California, 92407. The time is 5:03, 5:03,